welcome everybody. This is our conversation with artists, and today's special guest, and she is special on so many fronts, is none other than Marcia Debonis. Marcia is a well-known actor and casting director. Some of her acting credits include High Maintenance and The Other Two, and Orange is the New Black, and you may have seen her in theater and Small Mouth Sounds and other shows. And of course, very importantly for these purposes, Marcia is one of the original founding members of the Barrow Group. The Barrow Group started with as a resident ensemble of 10 actors, and Marcia was there from meeting one. I should introduce. What'd you say?
I said, unlike Wayne Duvall.
Unlike Wayne Duvall. Yeah, we talked about that actually. Wayne was on 2 weeks ago, and we talked about that. I'm Seth Barish, and this is Lee Brock.
And I'm Lee Brock.
We're the co-artistic directors, and thrilled that our old-time friend Marcia is with us. How are you?
Good, fine, yeah.
Okay, good. Are you? This is a weird question, but are you enjoying lockdown in any kind of?
Well, I don't. First of all, I really think that actors are more prepared for lockdown than most people.
Why do you say that?
Because we don't know where the fuck our next job is coming from. You know what I mean? So to me, I got out of casting like 7 years ago, but it's, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. So to me, it's kind of like not awful, because I feel like I'm used to not knowing how I'm going to pay my rent. I think in a weird way. And I feel like with those of us lucky enough to get unemployment, journeyman actors, that's more money than they've made forever. Right. You know what I mean? It's like you're clearing almost $1,000 a week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's awful, but I don't feel like it's actually changed my life too much. I'm just gardening and.
How long ago did you said you left casting 7 years ago? When did you start casting? I
started casting in 1993. I didn't leave officially, but my last pilot season was 2013. And then the next few years I cast, little indies that my friends wrote and stuff like that, but nothing really big.
And you've done such a magnificent job, Marcia, of balancing this incredible acting career, which Marcia has, maybe 40 films to her, her bio, and also then having this amazing career in casting. And I know when we were first together, your inspiration was Joanna Merlin, as I recall.
I love Joanna Merlin. I worship her. And, I don't know how, I know she did all of the casting for Hal Prince, every Hal Prince musical she cast. And I know she cast other stuff. But when I got into casting, after a couple years, I just missed acting so much. So much. And somebody said to me, Joanna Merlin has managed to do both. And so she really honestly was like my whatever idol, because it's like, okay, but truth be told, you guys, I didn't do any plays for 14 years.
Well, you did a lot of plays for the Barrow Group, though.
I did, but I'm saying once I started casting, listen, you were saying the most important is that I was a Barrow Group member. Most important to me is I would not be here without the Barrow Group.
Aww.
Yeah, that's
I also cry, everybody. I will cry at least once and probably more.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably.
I cry over everything. So don't be alarmed. My friends just ignore me.
Marcia and I met.
I was going to say, where did you guys meet?
We met
at
UCLA, and
what was the first encounter?
The first encounter. Well, let's skip the first encounter.
I don't know the first encounter, but I do remember Seth in a student written one act where he had to have a breakdown.
Oh,
yeah,
that's really good. It was like, oh my God, that boy was able to get emotional.
I think I'm remembering the title.
What
Dry Dreams.
That sounds dirty.
I think that was the title.
Was it? I just remember you kind of in a fetal position on the floor, and all of us going, he's good. Because after all, if you can cry, you're good.
Yeah, that's
which at 18 is what I thought. But the first time I got how funny Seth was we did a play called A Girardot, right? Called
That's
The
right.
Enchanted.
That's right.
And
Well, actually, originally was to do the play, but then I got mono, and
so who did it? Peter Landecker?
yes, I was cast as the ghost. It was like, I guess, one of the leading people in this play, and it was I think it was at that point the only thing I had done on the UCLA main stage, so it was like a big deal for me.
Right.
And
And
then I
how
got
soon did we rehearse with you?
yes for a while, and then I
Okay.
got mono, and then I got it so badly that I had to drop out of school, and then I came back, and the director.
Who was a trip?
Yeah, she was a trip. In fact,
Valerie
I don't know if you
Mendez.
remember this, but this happened during a dress rehearsal. She was really a trip, and she there was this thing where it was it was dress rehearsal, and the guy who had taken over as the ghost. To just finish that earlier thought, I was brought back to
Yeah, what were you brought back?
play the piano for
Okay.
to accompany Jen.
Oh, Jenny. What's her
Yeah,
face? Jen.
yeah,
Yeah, her.
yeah, and
What was her name? She was so cool.
no, I'm
I
blanking.
can't
She's
remember
a
her name.
Facebook friend.
Anyway,
She's gonna hate this. She could be watching this.
So-
Jenny, I love you.
She's so
You
talented.
were incredibly
Yeah.
talented. But in any case, I was playing this song. But anyway, there was this dress rehearsal was literally a tech rehearsal, and Peter Landecker, who took over for me, was like standing on stage, like so and so, and she all of a sudden screamed and in the middle of the final run and goes, "Stop!" and then runs up on the stage and repositions his hand like this much.
that was it?
Yeah, and then goes, "Okay, continue." Like we were like,
Because
what?
I remember her
was
yelling
that?
at that little freshman who was like this big because she had to run across. This was actually a good note. She was supposed to run across the stage,
Yeah.
and he literally showed us that she was running. And
Oh,
I do remember Val going, "Run!" Like, don't fucking pretend. Run across the stage. But this is how the first time I got that Seth had a sense of humor, because he seemed very intense and serious. It was for that. For my opening night, Seth and I went to rival high schools
That's right.
up north in Northern California.
That's right. And just to film, I went to Tamalpais High School in Mill Valley.
And I went to Redwood High School in Larkspur.
Yes, who had the best baseball team?
Baseball and cross country. We had a really good cross country.
Yeah, we were too.
I think we were better.
But their baseball team, in fact, there was a scandal about
There
your baseball
was a scandal, I
team,
feel
because
like.
I think wasn't the deal that the high school coach was recruiting people?
I think he recruited someone from not in the where they should be.
And you'd have several players that go to the pros.
Well, Buddy Biancalana did and won a World Series. I dated him in 6th grade.
Didn't know that.
I went and
I
studied
forgot
with them. But I got the opening night card that I got from Seth said something that the other teams at football games used to say, and that is they would stand over there. Our name was Redwood High School, and say, "Redwood, Deadwood, rot, rot, rot." And so that like made me go, "Oh, okay." So that's like the first time that I remember that it was like, "Oh, okay. He's one of us," not like some like too intense.
And then
Actor.
the reason there's many reasons, but the reason initially that when I was putting together the original ensemble of the Bear Group, the reason initially was you had done a scene from When You Coming Back, Red Ryder, in an acting class at UCLA taught by this teacher Delia Salvi, and it was this acting class that everybody wanted to get in.
It was for film, right? Technically, wasn't it for film?
It was, yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it might have even been a directing actors for.
Yes,
film
I think
class.
you're right. But it
And,
wasn't theater related. It
she was
film
considered-
and TV.
Yeah, she was considered the acting teacher of choice there, and everybody wanted to get in that class. And she was also notorious for being really mean and scary. And I'm sure
scary.
in real life she's not like that at all.
No,
but
I'm
that
sure
was,
not.
that was the rap she had. And oh man, I'm getting flooded with memories right now. But anyway, Marcia did this scene from When You Coming Back, Red Ryder, and it was so moving. It was, I mean, Marcia's an
Which
incredible
scene
actor.
was it?
It was one of I think it was the one with Stephen at the beginning with the.
Did I cry?
Oh, yeah. Well, what do you think?
I don't remember crying in that play until the end.
Yeah, you may not have cried, but it was really, really moving, and it just always stuck with me. And when we were and then we had so many mutual friends. The woman that I was
and we
seeing
moved here at the same time, right? You moved here in the fall of '82.
Absolutely, we hung out all the time. And then when we were putting together the ensemble, it was obvious that I was going to ask Marcia to do it, and she agreed. And we had a long, and still have, but a long, rich history building this company from scratch, because the original 10 actors did the legwork of just starting the thing. We started meeting once a week, and then at one point we got to where we were meeting 4 times a week, actually.
Were we really?
Yeah, yeah. When we were at the Time Life building, reading through material and all that stuff. And Marcia, you were amazing at procuring material. Somehow you would come up with this stuff that,
I'm good at procuring.
That's good. And then we did When You're Coming Back, Red Ryder, and Marcia was fabulous in that. So that was one of the second.
Was that our second?
That was our second.
We did Blue
On the Wing. We did Blue Window.
Well, we did. Yeah, it was on the Wing, Blue Window.
When You're Coming Back, Red
When You're Coming Back.
I have a story about On the Wing.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've told you this. As I said, I can cry easily usually, but for some reason, On the Wing, I think because I didn't disobligate myself. Oh, I know why it was. I had a scene with a guy, my husband. I think it was supposed to be my husband or my boyfriend. And I had a breakdown in it, and he had lines like, breathe, stop sobbing, it's okay. And I was, as my friends say, as dry as Debonis, nothing. But my back was to the audience. So I literally would do this, like I was crying, and be like, Nate, hurry up, because I had nothing.
I'm pretty sure you were on stage for the chicken event.
Oh, totally on stage.
Okay, so I'll just fill people in on this. It's a kind of a wacky story, but it was a play where we had the actors on stage, and we had the rest of the ensemble. I had, my brilliant idea. So we have to have all the actors on stage watching these short plays. It'll be part of the event. And so we were sitting around in a circle, and there was a play between. It was a two-hander with Karen Cederholm, who's now Karen Gregan, who is a phenomenal actress, and she was playing sort of a Times Square hooker, like a really down-and-out person, and Michael Warren Powell, who passed away, who was one of our original ensemble also. And
a Circle Rep guy. And
yeah, he ran the lab at Circle Rep for so many years.
And then he taught at Rutgers for quite a while.
Yeah. And Michael was playing this sort of down and out mentally disabled person. And there was a line in the play. Well, first of all, the entire play was built around them eating a chicken. There was these things going on between the characters, but they would eat a chicken. That was the central action of the play. And so what we did to do that is we had a toaster oven that we would buy a cooked chicken from a rotisserie place and put it in the toaster oven so that it was facing away from the stage. And then, the little timer would go ding, and then he'd go over to the kitchen and open up the toaster oven and pull out this very hot cooked chicken. And then they would eat it. And all their lines were about the chicken and eating it, And so we're standing around watching it, and we hear, ding, and Michael, who was doing this, he's a very spontaneous actor, would be different every time, but more or less, his line would be something like, he'd come out and go, oh, chicken, all right, or something like that, and he goes, ding.
Chicken, all right.
Ding. He goes over and he goes, oh, chicken, and he opens up the thing, and we just see him go, chicken. Ew.
Yeah.
And we're watching, we're like, we don't know what the hell he's going to pull out, but we know whatever he's going to pull out is going to be so disgusting. And he pulls out the chicken, and it is totally raw.
Raw and splayed.
Like clear.
Like
it's
open.
like the, and the whole action is them, and we just start getting that, oh my God, they're going to have to pretend to eat this chicken or eat it and get poisoned.
Right, one or the other.
And so they're like kind of poking at it, and they're like pretending to eat. They're like, they're smelling it and going, nah, it's pretty good, and all this stuff. And the rest of the actors on stage are, resisting the temptation to laugh, except me.
No,
this is the person, guys.
You were
no, that's what I'm saying. I was the one who...
Listen, you guys, if you're on stage with Seth, he is going to be the first one to crack. It's happening in
crack,
God's
laughing,
country
laughing.
too.
Absolutely.
It was very
we
unprofessional.
we ended up talking about
Did you
that.
talk about God's country?
Very
No, I
unprofessional.
haven't told us. But and sure enough, you know, I fighted it, and then
You
fought
fighted
it.
it?
I
fighted it.
fighted it. No, I fought the impulse as long as I could, and then I just sat there. I remember just going like that, and that was it. All the rest of the actors watching it, except Lee, are like,
Except me.
you know,
Lee, of course, Lee,
like
like held
completely
it
laughing.
together.
And from that
Tommy
moment,
laugh?
from
No, I did not laugh.
No, did Tommy laugh?
Tommy laughed. You were all laughing.
No, we were
Okay.
laughing.
All of
Okay.
And from that
go
moment
ahead,
on,
Seth.
all the actors were taken off stage. We
Yeah,
changed
do
that
it.
for the rest of the
See, and I
ride.
don't even remember that. That was it. That was the end of it.
Right.
That was the end of
Us
it.
on stage. Which, no offense, I didn't care any. But in
So
God's country, can I tell the God's country?
Yeah,
story?
go ahead. Go ahead.
So God's country, which is actually a sadly relevant play
Totally.
because it's about white nationalists, supremacists.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool set. It was, a lot of it was court transcript, just literally pulled from, there was a radio guy killed, this guy, Alan Berg, who was,
Ellen Berg, yeah.
so the people who were testifying had their back to were in the audience with their back to the audience, but there was a camera on stage.
Yeah.
So their picture was up on a big, screen in the back. So
The
it was,
entire back wall of the theater.
it
Yeah.
was really cool. However, you could see what the people beside and behind they were doing. Remember when that lady started?
Oh yeah.
And so we could everybody could see.
I can emulate it. Like Lee pretend get in the middle of the camera. You can pretend you're so Lee's the actor,
Yeah.
and there's an
Mhm.
audience member
Larry
behind them
Green.
going like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Lenny
Yeah.
was going, is that working? Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well done. Well
Just-
done.
Middle of the play.
Da-da-da-da.
Entire play.
But then what happened that made us break? Because we did break.
There were
This-
two. There were two of them.
Here's the thing. I just have to say one thing. All of us didn't break until Seth went. And then we were like, well, Seth is the artistic director. If he's fucking laughing, so can we. But that time, Tommy was mad.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of
Tom
people.
and
mad.
Aaron, I think, were mad. And needless to say, Lenny was furious, apparently.
Jim Lish, who is just a friend of ours who saw the show, was really
We shouldn't
mad.
be saying names though like that. But
Well, no, Jim was right. I mean, it was
It was
So
completely
it was a
unprofessional.
horrible. This is a theater story. It's like, it's so uncomfortable. It's cringeworthy. But the end of the play is this little kid who's played by an
wonder where
11-year-old
he
kid
is.
says the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's this very haunting moment where at the end he says, "One nation."
He was a white
Um,
nationalist kid.
Yeah, and he says, "One nation." Oh God, what is it? Wonder for with liberty and justice. That's what it is. Instead of saying "one nation under God," he says "one Aryan nation under God."
Right.
With liberty and justice for all, or something like that. And it's this chilling
Little
moment.
kid.
And the way it was staged, the actors, except for the kid, were all across the front in this very formal kind of chorus line position, and every actor had one line to say, and intermittently the kid would be doing the Pledge of Allegiance, and it was this very strong, upsetting moment. And Larry
should be incredibly poignant and haunting.
Oh yes, absolutely. And Larry was Larry Green was he went up on his line.
Is that what it was?
I don't know what the line was, but it was some line, like
No, but he went up. That's what happened. I didn't remember.
he went
what
up. But it's not just that he went up. So he went up and he said he didn't know what it was, so he said another line of his, right?
Mhm.
And then it was like, line. Everybody's doing this thing. And then it cycled back to him, and he had said the wrong line out of order. So he just paused for a second and then said that line again. So as if he went, like, I never thought I would, do. And it comes back and he just goes, I never thought I would. And then it comes back, and it comes back for the third time. And he goes, I never thought I would. Says again. And we're like thinking, oh my God, this is so funny. And it comes back for the fourth time, and he just goes, And I think at this point, I'm like thinking, keep it like very
Yeah, keep
serious
it
like that. And
together.
all it took, I just like went like that.
It was awful.
And
We
the
were
whole
like, most of us were up there, shoulders shaking.
stage left precisely was like
Not me.
stage right, not Lee,
Not Lee.
and we were it was horrible. It was one of those things where like I'm always a big fan of like it is always okay to laugh, right with it. It's something that's real. This was such a theatrical, not.
It was not okay.
It was not okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell the one with Aaron.
Oh gosh, I don't want to take the time,
okay.
but
Well,
So-
this is what I will say about laughing on stage. It's totally wrong, but I've had more fun laughing on stage than
it's
doing
good.
almost anything else.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, laughing on stage
It's
is
wrong. It's totally wrong. It was completely inappropriate.
and sometimes
that.
sometimes it really. I mean, I actually do believe in the concept of letting it happen because sometimes
Well, because otherwise you're denying.
right, and it's
That
so
something isn't
raw.
happening.
And I have seen things happen. I'm sure you have too, where some people are laughing in this thing that's like, wow, they're laughing and it's real, and so you roll with it, and then something very tragic is right on the heels of it, and because they're so open, that it's so moving,
I also think that we laugh at inappropriate times.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I kind of feel like, fucking laugh. If you feel like laughing, laugh.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yes, I've had
good.
my laughing fits always are at inappropriate times.
Right.
But casting, we've got lots of wonderful actors here, and Marcia being an incredible, casting director. Also, she runs the tape room.
Oh
which-
yeah, I started a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you talk about the tape
Yeah.
room so people know?
So I started casting primarily because when I first moved here at 21, I was told, once I auditioned for a couple of people like casting directors, I kept being told, oh, she's going to work a lot when she turns 30. And then I turned 30. And I heard, oh, she's going to work a lot when she turns 40. And I was like, I'm not fucking working in a restaurant for 10 more years. And I had always, when we didn't have someone in the company that was right for the part, and we had to cast outside, I had always kind of done it because I just love that kind of stuff. I have a friend who calls me a walking, talking TV guide. I just have the kind of brain that I remember things. So I had gone in to audition for a movie, and literally 5 minutes before I got there, they cut the part. So I just talked to the casting director, and she said, and I said, oh, I'm kind of interested in getting into casting when if I ever, stop acting. And she said, oh, well, Bonnie Finnegan, who I'm sure a lot of you know, is a fabulous casting director. She said, Bonnie's looking for an assistant. She's right next door. You should go next door. And I was kind of like, oh, no, we were going to do greetings.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, no, I'm not ready. Go. Like I was shamed into going next door to Bonnie. And I remember her looking up with the face that was, why is there an actor in my door who doesn't have an appointment? But she was desperate. So she hired me, and I loved it.
Oh, wow. So she
I
hired
loved
you
it.
right there.
She had this girl who was supposed to start in 2 weeks.
Oh,
So
wow.
she said, if you want to, so it was great. It was kind of perfect because
Wow.
and then because I am, I found a profession that my mental illness, which I have a little OCD, is good for, because casting is not just about having a good eye. A lot of it is detail.
All the organizational.
And
You're
what
so
co-
organized. You're so organized. Yeah.
What sort of, just to fill people in, like what sort of detail is part of
Well,
it?
I mean, just silly little things like you have to look ahead. So if this person is not available, then, it's not rocket scientists, but you have to be organized.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, like, oh, this person doesn't like that person, or this person loves this person. So even though we don't like them,
Yeah.
and there have been times when you have to do like defensive casting if you're working with someone that doesn't have the same taste. And I'm going to name names. What do I care?
No.
Ellen Lewis, who I came up under, cast Stepmom, which was a Chris Columbus, who's a lovely guy,
Yeah.
movie with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon.
Mhm.
And we just didn't have the same taste. It sort of became clear. And then it's our job to figure out what the director's taste is.
Yeah.
And even if it's not your own, You're there to serve the director.
Yeah.
And so what do you mean by taste, Marcia?
Well, like he responded to people that we thought were I like off people. I am not interested in pretty people unless they're good. So during pilot season, if an agent would lead with their pretty, it's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. If they're good and talented, fab. If they're just pretty, I don't care. So it was just sort of, he responded to what we considered sort of beige people. So yeah, we would literally kind of go like, okay, there was one part, and this happens a lot in casting, there ends up being one part that you can't cast. And it has nothing to do with the part usually. It just sort of becomes this thing. And sure enough, there's one part, Julia Roberts' boss, that we couldn't cast. We tried everybody that we liked. They didn't go for it. He didn't go for any. So then we started trying people who we didn't think were particularly good, but we wouldn't be embarrassed if he cast them. Whereas there were other people we could have tried who we would have been embarrassed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just sort of a fascinating thing. Now in TV, it's a completely different thing. This is with Chris Columbus.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, as everybody who's worked in TV knows, that a lot of the directors are just technical people. They have no idea.
Yeah.
And that's when I would feel compelled to try to steer them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Ellen would always say it's our duty to fill the director's vision. It's like, yeah, when it's Martin Scorsese, but when it's some dumbass who's picking the wrong person, then I'm going to say something. Go ahead.
Why did you get out of casting? No, sorry.
And seriously, and it was because basically what happened was I started casting pilot season in 1999.
Right,
Yeah.
for Fox.
And for Fox first, and then for NBC from 2010 to 2013.
Yeah.
And it was soul killing, particularly casting a network. It's totally different now because there's Orange is the New Black changed everything.
Right,
As far as physical.
Right.
But on the network, they finally in 2010, I think. No, my last year, 2013, it dawned on them, the dime dropped that like, oh, diverse people would like to see themselves represented.
Yeah.
And then they proceeded to cast a bunch of pretty shitty diverse people instead of pretty shitty white ones. And I just couldn't deal with it anymore. But I loved working with the actors. So my friend...
So you're fabulous. I mean, just if you go into audition for Marcia, she's an unbelievable reader. She might have frozen right there. She might have done something, but she's going to come back.
Oh gosh,
or
is
maybe
this the technical glitch that she was warning us about?
Am I frozen? Hello?
You
No,
did,
now you're
but
good.
now you're unfrozen. But I was. No, there she is. Oh, come on back, Marcia.
Well, I think she's still going. I think your video
Okay.
is glitching, but you came back for a second, so I think
maybe
we're
you
still
can keep
connected.
talking. Can you hear us?
No,
No.
maybe you can't hear us.
But anyway.
Well,
Marcia is a really great reader.
She's
so she
phenomenal.
reads really, really well with actors.
So behind the scenes, people are working on trying to get
Marcia back.
When Marcia, and I don't know if you can hear me or not, but my guess is that because you're gone, that you can't. Oh, I see.
Here she
Ooh, let's
comes.
admit her.
Here she comes.
Here
I
you
think
go.
Porter's going to admit her.
Oh, okay,
Porter's
great.
gonna admit her.
Okay, great. I think that
There she is.
you're
There
back.
she is. There she is.
Unmute.
I'm
Yeah,
out.
there you go.
Perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
true.
great.
You were dead on. You came through. That was exactly what you
good.
predicted.
I had to prove that I wasn't a robot, and my eyes are bad even with glasses. So I'm like, I don't know if there's a boat in that picture.
I have there's a question that is asked so often by actors. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's it often comes up how valuable it is for an actor to work as a reader, so they get to see what happens in the room and everything. And the follow-up question repeatedly and appropriately is, how do you get that to happen? And how does that happen? If you're an actor and you want to become a reader for
Well, you mentioned it's particularly any casting director that you feel like you have, a good relationship with.
Right.
Just say, if you're ever looking for a reader, you would say, because I think it's worth doing it even if you're not getting paid. I'm not, I would love to if you ever need help. The problem with me is that's the most fun of the casting process. So I'm always like, nope, I will never need a reader.
Right.
But there are quite a few who do.
Oh, tons. And it's, how it's so wonderful when you go in and there's someone actually
Right.
way
But
decent.
just even on the other hand, so as actors, and you don't have a reader that's like you have a reader that is a bad reader, let us say. What do you tell actors?
Well, this is what I say. I think, you have to go over in your head, because I would say 50% of the time you have a reader that's probably not good, right? You're hopeful that they're like indifferent, but I feel like 1 out of 10 are decent as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So you need to go in there expecting to not have a good reader, and go over in your head, what am I going to do if it's a bad reader? Because as we all know, sometimes you spend the whole audition just going, this person is the shittiest reader I have ever seen, and then your audition's over.
Yeah.
And you've done nothing.
Yeah.
You've been third eyeing yourself.
Right.
Yeah, and my experience actually surprisingly, my experience surprisingly has been that a lot of them are actually pretty good, and a lot of the casting directors are really good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's a lot that
Maybe
I think
haven't
of
been
that.
auditioning for them.
But let me ask one more question, to, Marcia, and then we'll open it up to questions in our from the actors and stuff. So, actors right now in quarantine, what can they do to kind of stay connected to casting directors? Or
I suppose, look, the great thing about email is, you can email someone, and a casting director doesn't feel under the gun, because they can answer it whenever they want.
Yeah.
Right.
It used to be sometimes actors would call, and it's just sort of like, I'm too busy to take a phone call. So if you look, so many people are doing things.
Right.
Yeah.
They're doing readings or whatever. So if you do something that is actually, emailable, then you would do that. I don't know really what the story is for that. I feel like nobody knows anything.
Right.
I know that a lot of, at least at the networks, they are having like online generals.
They are.
And one thing about generals, guys, and I'm sure you all know this, but just in case, don't be nervous about it. It's literally just like, I would always have generals in December before pilot season, so that I would have a context. Because a lot of times you're too busy during pilot season to do pre-reads.
Right.
But, or even, but if someone, it's like, oh, right, I remember her. She reminded me of Lee. That's how I would write down stuff like, is a cross between da-da-da. So I would know in my head who they were.
Yeah.
So if you do ever have a general, I know it's hard, but just try to be yourself. Because that's honestly what a general is about. I don't really know what to do, how to keep in touch, because I feel like it's a whole new world.
When people email somebody to contact them, do you suggest that they just, like, if they have a reel, just put the link on the email?
Sure. It can't hurt.
Right.
And a lot of the younger casting directors are much more, I'm not on any social media.
Yeah.
But I know most people are. I think it's destroying the world. But so, I think keep posting. Look, at some networks, that matters, how many Twitter followers you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I tell a quick nightmare story?
Yeah, fast, because I want to make sure that people get to ask questions.
My friend wrote this pilot about the class of the first female cadets on the Boston police force, based on like 5 women, all of whom looked like normal people. But of course, they had to cast everybody who was beautiful. There was one part who was like drop dead beautiful. So this model came in and read, and she was fine. And
I think she
froze again. So she froze again. Maybe at this time, while she's coming back, what we can do is
questions. If you have questions, this would be the time to go to the participants window and raise your hand, and we'll call on you in order. There's a raise hand button, right? And then a little blue hand comes up, and we all remain in suspense. There's some hands. That's good. And as soon as Marcia is back, she'll probably have to get readmitted again. We'll continue on from where we were, and keep those hands coming. That's great.
Lauren, that's great, terrific.
So yeah, she just popped out. That tells me that she's gonna pop back in in that role.
Great. So I think I interrupted you about readers. Like, if you feel like if you have a bad reader, what do you do?
Well, what I was
that?
saying, and clearly I had a different sense than Marcia, is that I've been surprised at how many of the readers are good.
Right.
The only time that there she is, and they're going to let her
We'll
in.
do it.
Let's wait for her to.
Here
hey,
she is. Okay.
well, welcome back again.
It keeps happening.
I
No,
know.
it's okay.
It just
But
says I'm unstable.
Oh.
yeah.
We'll open it up
How
to
did they
Brian.
know?
Brian, do you have a question?
Wait, let her finish her
Oh,
story.
sorry.
'cause
Oh,
she's
your
gonna-
story. Oh, yeah, yes.
What was my story? I don't even
Story
remember.
about the model. The
Oh,
really.
okay. So everybody plots after she left. Oh, we found her. And my friend, who was the writer, kind of was like, whatever. And so she very sort of tentatively was like, okay, but she's not really an actress. And the response was, I know, but you can't take your eyes off of her. And she's dating Kevin Love, and he has 2 million Twitter followers.
Yeah.
Kevin Love is an NBA player.
Yeah.
And she was hired. And guess what? The pilot didn't get picked up, not only because of her, but do you know what I mean? It's like, fine, go ahead and cast a shitty actress.
But did Kevin Love's team win the series?
I believe they did that year because he was playing for the Warriors.
At this point, I think we should open it up. We just
Can't
have a
we
little
go
bit-
till 6?
No,
Yeah,
well,
we
we can
can.
go until a little before 6. I have
Okay.
to.
Yeah,
actually
we can
teach
go
right
until
at
6.
6.
We can go
Okay.
But let's take some questions. So Brian, you're up there. I see your hand. Thanks.
Brian.
And
How are you?
go ahead.
I
Brian.
love Brian.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Well, I just wanted to say first that it's really nice to finally see you.
Yes.
We've exchanged some communications before, and you've been such a great help for me, and it's very nice to see you.
Because you're really talented.
You're like a,
I love championing talented people. That's one of the reasons I like casting.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
thank you. But I'm going to ask you a question here that I think some other people that are here might also benefit from the information.
Mhm.
I just started to kind of audition, as you know, and just started getting in the doors of some of these casting agencies and these casting places. And it's all like a new experience for me. And I just wanted to know, what are some of the nuances that you would kind of tell me about that could kind of help me feel a little more prepared going into these rooms?
Well, one thing that I'm a big believer in, guys, and it's just about talking to all your friends, know your rooms, know who you're going in for. For example, I didn't expect people to be off book because I would much rather they spend their time making choices. However, Marcy Phillips, who I adore and works at ABC, she wants you off books. So you guys need to get together, and someone like Alexa Fogel, who's a genius, responds to men more than women. I don't know why, and it doesn't matter. The point is, if you, as a woman, go in there and you feel like, and you don't know that she is not particularly responsive to women, you might leave there feeling like, oh shit. So you, and when you shouldn't. So you need to figure out and talk to people. Like, what, you know, what is the story? Do they want you off book? Jen McNamara at NBC is a brilliant casting director. She cast Sex and the City, and then has been at NBC forever. But she literally disconnects and is objective. So it reads as being cold and not, because she doesn't laugh in the comedy things usually. She loves actors. But if you didn't know that, you wouldn't know that, and you might go in there, and during the thing, when you see her sort of standing there, you know, objectively, you might start focusing on that instead of on what you're supposed to be doing.
That's great. That's great advice.
Like literally, and there's so many Barrow Group people. I mean, I teach at Juilliard, and we did a whole list. This is what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
This is what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I would say, though, be prepared for a bad reader or just a sort of okay reader. But if you do happen to have a good one, let them in. Sometimes it would be so frustrating because people would come in. I totally get it. They're protecting themselves, so they know what they want to do. Meryl Streep could be opposite them and they would not change anything. So just always try to leave yourself open for the possibility that something that you hadn't planned, obviously. And sometimes when they're shitty, you have to do what you planned.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to act for two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. But it's true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a shitty reader. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So, read with a friend usually if you can, just so that you have some sense of, read with a good actor friend. So you have some sense of maybe what a good actor would do in case you go in and they're not that good. Don't chat too much. I've seen people lose jobs before they audition because they just yap. Now, I'm not saying, of course, you can talk and stuff, but just be aware that you don't want to go too long.
Some of the biggest jobs I've ever gotten were in and out. I was a
Oh yeah,
singer,
and you're like, oh well.
yeah.
I always throw my sides out because when I first moved here, when I thought I'd done well, I saved them because I was sure I would get a call back, and I never did. So now I literally ball them up and throw them in the waste paper basket as I'm leaving. I would not do that in front of, I got called on that by Ellen Chenoweth. She was like, Marcia, what if Barry Levinson wants to see you in person? I was like, then I'll print him up again. But yeah, try to, the only thing we can do is to do the best we can do. That's it. There's so many things out of your control. And I mean, network-wise, dumbass things. Dumb things. Don't hold on to anything. You literally, if you go in and do what you wanted to do, that is the best that it's going to be, unless you get the part.
And I often, having been on the other side of the camera itself and production, there's often 4 or 5 people who are brilliant, who are just like, they're all hitting out of the park. You're choosing between such great options.
And exactly. And that's frustrating.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean failure in any way. That was great. We have thanks, Brian. We have
Brian, did I answer your question at all?
Thank you
Not
so
really,
much.
but,
Thank you
okay.
so much, Marcia.
See you, Brian. Lauren Schaffel has a question. Lauren?
Hey.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi. So that was super inspiring. Thank you for that.
Good.
I'm curious too, now that you've been on kind of both casting and an actor, has your process of auditioning changed as an actor since being in casting?
It has, in the sense that, like what I was just talking about, what became clear within a few months of getting into casting is the best actor does not always get the job. I would say it's 50%, honestly. So that was both horrifying because it's like, wait, what? But it was also liberating because it makes you realize truly the only thing you can do is the best you can do. What was your exact question? I'm sorry, I'm old and I've smoked.
that was pretty much, has your approach to acting changed from being...
And I also know I don't get nervous. I don't get nervous at all because I know that it has almost nothing to do with me. You guys, do not try to apply rationality to an irrational business. Don't do it. Don't try to figure things out. There's no magic bullet. And I feel like we waste a lot of time trying to go, well, if I do this. Every time my career has moved forward, it was because I did a project that I was passionate about.
Yeah.
I do not believe in trying to, just do it so that you can, get someone in. It's not that I don't believe, I know you have to do that. But the projects that moved my career forward were never anything other than ones that somebody was passionate about. That was our rule in the Barrow Group. Unless how many? I mean, I don't know. We had a strict rule, but somebody had to be passionate about it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Another little thing. This is just a little. I always say this when I walk in, and any audition. You should say when you walk in, do you have any helpful hints or traps to avoid? Write that down, everybody, because the truth of it is, it's part of the casting director's job to figure out how a scene works. I would always call LA to say exactly that. If they'd been seeing people, I'd go, what are people? And they'd go, you know what? Everybody's playing it too angry. Now, I always let people give whatever they want. I never say this is what you want to do, but it just, you may as well ask it, because there might be something as simple as people are getting too angry. And then that's such an easy thing to do in the room. That's not something you have to work on. I would also, like I said, I would rather you spend time making choices than learning lines. A bad choice is better than no choice.
So wait, Marcia, are you recommending that that they come in and say before they read, just
Yep.
go, any tips?
Yep, I say, every single room I walk into, you know, you chat, and then and they'll say, "You ready?" And I said, "Yeah." Do you have any helpful hints or
Okay.
traps to avoid? And sometimes they will,
Yeah.
and sometimes they will say, "Well, yeah, but you do what you want to do," which is
Yeah.
fine, which
Yeah.
is what I always try to do. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever auditioned someone that just did one take. Never.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Great. That's really
That's
good. I
great.
love that. Helpful hints or traps.
Lauren, did you have another? Your hand just went up.
Oh,
Did you?
yeah, no. I had a follow-up question to that
Yeah.
because you mentioned making a choice. I'm curious because I hear that a lot, and I feel
Mhm.
like different people mean different things when they say make a choice, but I'm curious what that means for you.
I feel like have a point of view. I think what happens particularly, and I don't know how much the people that I'm talking to have had, you know, major theater training, but I know a lot of the kids that I teach at Juilliard and stuff, they get worried that it's a completely different thing, that there's a difference between film and TV and stage, and it's not. Honesty is honesty. So it just sort of the trap is that you suddenly, yeah, you're real and you're fucking boring. I could go to a diner and watch someone be real. That's what I mean by no choice, is that you're so worried about being real that you don't, you know, it's all, yeah, it's very real, very real.
Yeah.
But who cares? If there's
So-
not something motivating it.
Yeah, it sounds like
So maybe clarifying what you're there to do, or clarifying what
the
the
circumstances
circumstances.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
just
mean,
getting to
I
the
have no
point.
training, and I'm completely all instinct. So I don't have any like technical, technical, I have no technique. So I'm sure
Oh,
there
you
are other
do.
people. And another thing, guys, no one has the right answer. And you know, one casting director will love you and another will hate you. So don't go down the like, oh, they don't like me. First of all, this is what I would say. They have so much bigger fish to fry than to not like an actor. Just know that. Most casting directors who you think don't like you, that's not what it is. What was I ranting about? I don't know how I got there.
But choices, we were kind of
Yeah,
refining.
choices. You know, like I said, I'm instinctual. I'm not an acting teacher. So I don't, except for that it cannot just be real. It needs to be activated by something.
Kind of like what you're there to do.
Yeah. I mean,
sure.
however you work. Like I'm awful if I get in my head. Awful. That's the wrong
Awful's a
place for
strong
me to
word.
be.
Hmm.
Like, but other people are actually very, I'm not intellectual in the least, but other people, like someone asked me, what's the point of your character in the play? It's like, I don't know. I don't give a shit. That's the director's problem. But I know other people who are very clear about what their role is. So I feel like there's no one size fits all answer because we all have different. Oh, one thing I will say, let your freak flag fly. Don't try to put your, I'm dead serious. Don't try to sort of make yourself into what you think they're looking for. They don't know what they're looking for. They don't.
Yeah.
So don't spend your time, you know, if there's a prototype and it says it's like, you know, David Schwimmer on Friends, don't do that. No one is going to be as good as David Schwimmer on Friends, okay? So don't go down that. Now, obviously, if it helps you, but don't waste your time on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time on casting directors you think that they don't like you. Don't waste your time on that. And if you are a freak, show it.
Yeah.
Can I tell a really quick story? I had a friend who's traded on his boyishness. He got out of NYU and he was wonderful, but he was real boyish and has the sickest sense of humor of almost anyone I know. I think he's hilarious. Black sense of humor. And I would always say to him, and he worked, but not as much as he should have. And I would always say, you know, the minute you let that part of yourself out, you're going to get cast. And then what happened is he lost his hair. So he couldn't trade on the boyishness anymore. It was gone. And now he works all the time. And it's because he showed who he was. That's the story.
Excellent. Well done. Well
Great.
done.
Lauren, thank you for
Yeah.
that question.
Yes, Lauren,
thank
thank
you.
you. I'm not sure.
Thank
I
you,
answered
Monica.
it.
Lauren, thank you.
Monica Sharma, go ahead and unmute.
Hey guys.
What's your question?
Monica.
I'm nervous, but I want to go off what Marcia said. Marcia, you said, like, if you are a freak, show it, right? I'm going to give you an example. So Seth was my teacher when I was doing my conservatory. I did the Cleopatra monologue in class. And how he directed me, what he told me to do, made me do something. And I will never forget, somebody in class said that day, oh my God, she's fucking crazy. But I was able to find my crazy because of him, you know?
Because he's crazy.
Exactly. Which is why he's such a good actor. He doesn't pretend that he's a normal person. He's not.
Yeah, but he helped me, you know, he helped me get there. So like, you know, me being an ethnic actor, having lived in India for 18 years of my life and coming here, trying to find a place in this business, you know, whenever I don't have representation at the moment, I'm looking for it. Like when I approach somebody and I want to tell them, hey, I want to do this, but, you know, I don't have a teacher like Seth to tell me what choice should I make. So, you know, that's something, you know, I need somebody like him to tell me, all right, you can do this. You can be the next female Joker. But, you know, if he's not there, I don't know how can I do it. Does that make sense?
You can't be so reliant on an acting teacher that you can't perform without them. So I think you try to figure out what did he say that triggered your being able to sort of be yourself. Don't think you can't do it on your own. You can totally do it on your own.
Yeah, I think it's a myth that a lot of people buy into, that, you know, that we train or we experience something in a job where we're guided and we think, oh, I need the guidance. And I don't think it's true. Monica, we know you're a wonderful actor, and you're quite independent, and you have a lot of chops on your own. So while you might enjoy guidance you get from me or anybody else, you don't need it. You're just fine.
You don't. Now you know that it can happen, and now you just have to figure out how it can happen, you know, without having someone guiding you there.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks. Can I say one other quick thing?
Yeah. Go ahead.
If within the first page or something you're auditioning and you are not happy, stop. Stop. Just say, I'm so sorry. Do you mind if I start again? You've already stopped.
Oh, that's really interesting.
What are they going to say? No. Yes, I mind.
No,
I can't say that.
I usually say the opposite.
I totally disagree.
All right. Okay.
And by the way, this means nothing. I think one thing, Lee thinks the other. There's no right answer.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times we think there's a magic thing that will unlock everything. People have different, I worship Lee. I feel like we will get to the same place with actors probably as
right.
They're the same way.
Right.
I'm a huge believer. If you're feeling like for whatever reason, get out. I'm not saying pages in.
And I could say it on the, you know, as a director, when I'm looking at casting, it's like, I just want people to do their best. And if they're doing something they don't feel good about and they stop, I'm like, fine, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do your best.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. We have time for one more very quick question.
Okay.
This is Benjamin Culpepper, and Benjamin, are you here?
Benjamin.
Yeah, there you are.
Hey, Benjamin.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Quickest question ever.
Yeah. No.
We are now in the quarantine, and self-tapes are super important. So besides the lighting, that boring, non-exciting background, and I don't know, making a fun choice, what else should I really be like focusing on for that self-tape?
You know, do the frame. The biggest mistake that people make on self-tapes is they leave too much space above their head. This should be the frame, exactly where I am, okay? Don't have it be this. It is, you know, I have a blue sheet that I put up, a light blue sheet. You know, and I literally just tack it to the wall, because you want their first hit to be, professional. And if you do have something that looks obvious that you're in your apartment, it's not, or if your scene starts and you have all this space above your head. Wait, tell me what the exact question was. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's just
self-tape tips.
Self-taping.
Tips. I mean, I have so many. I don't even know what to tell you. End up somewhere different than where you started. A lot of times in TV things, you will only have one scene, and it's sort of the same. It's incumbent upon us to build this in. Now, when you get the part, you're not going to have to do that, because you'll have the entire episode or the entire movie to show those different colors. But you must do something so that they can see that you're capable of playing just what's in the scene. Always memorize legalese or medical terms. Memorize them, even if you're not off book.
Sure.
At least, because that's part of it. They just want to see if you can spit out some legalese or medical thing. I'm not a big believer in memorizing, but I am a big believer in that. Of what, Seth?
I was going to say we're actually out of time.
Oh, I know.
Thank you so
Wait,
much.
can I say a couple more things?
Of course, go for
Really
it.
quickly. This is what I say first of all, and I'm going to try to say it nicely. If you want to feel safe, don't be an actor.
Mhm.
That's truly what I have to say. If you want to feel safe, you are in the wrong profession, in my opinion. And
wanna feel
also,
safe.
guys, you see what you look for. You see what you look
Say that
for.
again, because you
Yeah,
froze.
you're thinking.
Oh, I'm frozen. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
say it
say
again.
that again. Say it again. Just
Now
say
am
it
I
again.
frozen? Am I frozen?
No,
No.
no, just say it again. Say
You
it again.
see what you look for. And this is in life and in acting. I am particularly, am I frozen?
No.
No, I
Okay.
was just going, that's good.
I am particularly sensitive about my looks because I feel like I've been never anything but punished by them. So I see that in everything. And guess what? 50% of the time it is there. I never get an audition that doesn't have fat or homely or plus sized or whatever. On the other hand, sometimes it's not there, but I see it. So just be aware.
Okay, come back.
That's we're in the middle of a
Just
sentence.
be aware, we are in the middle of a
like-
sentence.
Oh, well.
I don't know if
I
you
don't
can hear
know.
us, but here's Marcia, just to finish that sentence because it glitched. You said just be
Be aware.
aware.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just be
Oh,
aware.
good. Just wait. What was I don't even remember what I was saying.
Just be aware.
But what was the first part? What were we talking about?
You see what you see.
You see, see what you look for.
See what you look for.
I think just be aware what your particular thing is. I think for diverse actors, it's easy to look for people being racist, and yes, you are going to find it. But if you keep looking for it, you're going to find it much more than it's there.
Right.
So try to just, and this is for life too.
Yeah.
I feel like you hear what you listen for and you see what you look for. And so be sure that what you're want to hear or what you want to see are positive and not something that's fucking you up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. On that note, we definitely,
we have to
sadly
go.
need to wind up. But Marcia,
So
thank you
awesome,
so.
Marcia.
Sure. Thanks, guys. Had so much
funny.
fun.
And
So
thanks
funny.
everybody for tuning in.
Thanks,
Remember, you
everybody.
can go to barrowgroup.org, and there we have all of our free programming, which every week we
good.
have
It's
stuff.
good to see everybody.
And also we have our regular programming, barrowgroup.org, and you'll see it all. And thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great week, everybody. Stay safe. That's what I wanted to say. And healthy. And Marcia, thanks again.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, Marcia.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Lee, Seth, Marcia. These are great. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
Love you guys. Thanks.